Here we go. A little of that. Oh, that's what I need to do. There we go. That'll do it. Hey, Jean-Francois. And Chris has got tendonitis, so he's watching, but he may not be typing too much. So, uh, anyhow, yes, happy anniversary, Rock. And yeah, I think that there's a very high probability we'll make it Saturday and Sunday, Dave. Weather looks good. Like to get it in while we still got some decent weather. Once it gets really cold, the camper gets kind of uncomfortable. Anyhow, so for those of you who haven't been following the chat since the beginning, Dave and I were scheduling a little trip for Eva and me over to his mine, and we should go there on Saturday. Oh, that's pretty funny. I was doing some cooking, and that was just some times. Yeah, I don't think there'll be a problem. It looks really good weather-wise. I mean, temperature in the 40s, low 40s. Yeah, Jean-Francois, absolutely. Yep. She's not only a trooper, but she also likes doing the kind of stuff that I do. She's tough, but a lot of the stuff she just likes to do, which makes it really good because I'm not putting her out. Uh, so, hello, Kenneth. Uh, so that's basically about the only mining thing I've got for this season right now lined up. A few little things possibly in the lab, but we'll probably have to wait until later. Got a little bit of construction stuff, probably about a day a week, something like that to do. And then Lauren is going in for shoulder surgery on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Wednesday. And so he's going to be laid up. He's going to be very, very restricted for about 2 months. So I'll probably be spending a lot of time over at his place, uh, helping him get some maintenance stuff done. That'll be because I get really fidgety. I do not like sitting around not doing much. So it'll give me something to do. It'll allow him to rest that soldier, which is going to be very important. And I'll get to learn some new stuff. You know, I'm not sure, Chris. Um, Medication, maybe. Sap might work. I really don't know. So I say he's got a lot to do and could use some help doing it. That'll keep me busy. So it works out great for everybody. And I did some panning results with Dave's ore, and although they weren't matching, they were doing the same kind of things at the same time. So I think that hand panning will be a useful grade control too at Dave's mine, you know, and so that's a good thing. Uh, so we got that. Even I've been doing a little cooking. We got, of course, holiday stuff coming up, and I got a Chris. I got a card for my daughter. I think you'd really like this one too. My daughter's in cybersecurity, so yeah, I thought that would be perfect for her. Uh, and got a, you know, the holidays are going to have things pretty busy here for the next couple weeks, and then uh, they will be over at Lauren's house from time to time. I'm also going to go fishing this week, is the plan. I'm going to head out Wednesday to Holter Dam and try that. Footing should be good. You know, a lot of places around here have no free water right now, but neither do they have good solid ice. Um, so we'll just have to see. But right in the tail race of the dams, you've got good flowing water. So, hey, Jimmy, you betcha, Jimmy. That was last year, January, somewhere around end of January. Yeah, that was out in front of Lauren's house. Now, I don't know who the truck belonged to, but I thought that pretty good. Right now, yeah, I wouldn't even want to walk out there right now. Hey, Brian. And so I say, we got a couple weeks kind of weird stuff. And then I'll be spending a lot of time at Lauren's and doing a little construction. And then I'm going to take the um, bottle roll test from the mystery dump and take a sample from it and um, do a multi-element analysis on it because it's a new ore. It'll have had plenty of time to digest, and well, I'm not allowed to say where it is. One search. That's why. So I got that planned, and we'll see how much more gold has dissolved, if any, and what else might be dissolving and what might cause problems in the leaching circuit. Oh yeah, Garmin makes some pretty good stuff. My brother had a side scanning um, Garmin Hummingbird. I'm not sure which, and it was interesting, but it was helpful in some cases, not so much in the others. That could be true too, but that was not the case in this situation, Search. But I tell you what, Lauren is really good at using a little the old style, just straight down cone thing for ice fishing. He's pretty good. He knows when there's a fish doing what. He works his jig, and oh, he was kicking my butt last year. Absolutely, you know. Um, yeah, I don't see why not, Jean Francois. Depending upon the power of the transducer, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to look through the mud to some extent. Um, have no idea how much, but wonder if someone could do a similar thing for surface structures. I mean, like, an ultrasound uses, they use a jelly to give you a good transmission to the rock. Wondering if you could do that. Just like essentially an ultrasound. I wonder if that would work. Are you listening, little one?
Hmm.
Well, I know we want portable seismic, Chris.
What are we trying to? Are we using like a gold?
No, you use like a fish finder,
Yeah.
and you use a gel like they use for an ultrasound. Find a piece of bedrock that's outcropping, stick the transducer on there, and see if you can actually see the layering in the rock or something.
Well,
Huh.
uh,
You may be right, Rock.
maybe some water.
Uh,
I mean, I don't know if a fish finder would work on a rock.
I don't know.
I mean, how does a fish finder work?
It puts out real short sound waves and measures the echoes.
Well, then there's really no reason why it wouldn't work on a rock.
I don't know. Rock says, I'm listening, and if that were possible, it would have been done already.
Okay.
What good is portable seismic? It lets you look into the rock and see variations in densities and stuff, Dave. The gel in the ultrasound is for impedance matching, huh?
Yeah.
Hi, blind dude. Jean-Francois says velocity of granite is only about twice that of water. I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, if rock says
Huh.
it can't be done, then it probably can't be done. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it was that simple, he's probably correct. Somebody would have done it.
yeah, I'm sure somebody at some point has tried using a fish finder on things other than a body of
Well,
water.
even that, if the theory was relatively sound, somebody probably would have, uh, you know, made it happen by now. You know. Now, Jean Francois, on the other hand, disagrees with that statement. So you're planning on doing some tests in the summertime? Chris says it takes a lot of power, but you need a big amp and sensitive pickups. Okay. Yeah, but those are big things, Jeff. Those are the sort of things where they're using ships with propane air cannons to make the noise. That would be cool, Jean Francois. Ah, excellent, Rock. I mean, I don't know what the percentage is. Certainly over 90% of the time, when somebody says, "Well, how about this?" and they go, "Nah, that's not possible," they're correct. But the small times that they're not, that's when they really make advancements. So it's kind of cool to try something. Exactly, Jean Francois. Yeah, if you can videotape it or something, Jean Francois, that would be cool. I That would not surprise me a bit, Jean Francois. Um, the the amount of nuance and detail and stuff that you have to deal with in reality is a lot. Sometimes it's pretty simple. Other times it's just annoyingly difficult. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, Rock. If can you see the bedrock structure internal to the bedrock, or just the bedrock to mud interface? Because if you can see that um, the structure beneath the mud interface, then you might be able to pull something like that. I don't know. Say, like, it'll be interesting to see what Jean-Francois' experiments say. That would be cool. Uh, okay, usually see a few feet. Yeah, that may be it. It's just attenuation. You need such intense sound waves that it's just not very practical. I don't know. Uh, I plan on using some to find fish. Does the tilt of the Earth affect water tables? I have no reason to believe anything like that. I mean, the gravitational field is independent of the rotational axis. It does somewhat affect the gravitational force on the Earth's surface. Um, and, the Earth's equator is rotating at about 1,000 miles per hour. Where's my stuff here? You got the Earth, and then it's rotating in this direction here at the equator. This is about 1,000 miles an hour, and this is, of course, 0 miles per hour here. So there is a little bit of centripetal effect that's decreasing the gravity to a slight extent here. I don't know how much. I know it really helps a lot when you're launching a satellite, because just sitting on the ground, you've already got 1,000 miles an hour velocity. So no rain, huh? Up here, it's been a little bit drier than usual. Right now, it's warmer than usual. Currently, what? Come on, tell me. Oh, good Lord. 34 degrees. Yep. So we got, say, the next week or a little more is going to be like in the low 40s during the days. Um, yeah, I would agree. The rotational axis has no effect on the gravity, but the centripetal motion of the Earth's surface at the equator, you're going to have some reduction in gravity simply because of the inertial effects as you're being thrown ahead at 1,000 miles an hour. You've got to drop a little bit to stay on the Earth's surface. If you increase that to 25,000 miles an hour, you don't drop to the Earth's surface. That's what an orbit is, you know? And so I'd say it would have a small amount, but I don't know how much. Let's see. Maybe they know. How much lessening of gravity is there at the equator? Well, the Earth's surface also bulges a bit there. 0.3%. At latitudes near the equator, the outward centrifugal force produced by Earth's rotation is larger than at polar latitudes. This counteracts the Earth's gravity to a small degree, up to a maximum of 0.3% at the equator. You know? Well, I know it's an oblate spheroid, Chris. Well, let's see. The average person, let's say an average person is, screw you guys with metric, 165 pounds, women, men, etc., times 0.003. Half a pound. Yeah. Okay. That's actually significant. Are we going to mine in space now? Not right now, but probably in the near future. Good, blind dude. I never get pickers. That's true also, Rock. Yep, Alex, you are correct. It did erupt at about 3:30 this afternoon. I don't know. I haven't. I think the only time I actually got a picker while panning was when I was up visiting Chris. I've got some, when I was dredging or whatever. But I think that's the only time I actually panned a picker myself. Yeah, they also had they had a camera pointing at the direction of the eruption when it first burst through too. Oh, well, that's good, Alex. What would that be, if you can say? Yeah, the part of the problem with Pikes Peak is that downrange you can't just drop a rocket, blow one up and not have it land on people. Cool. Is that a permanent job or a temporary job till next summer? Yep, that's right, Chris. That's my only picker. And I wouldn't mind playing with placer. I just don't have any to play with, you know? Is it a company you like, Alex? If so, that would be great. Ammo prices going up big January 1st, huh?
Yeah, they are.
Good thing I got enough for now.
Because, all of it is disappearing.
Yep. No, I don't need very much. Hello, Jeff. Sure, Jeff. Let me know what the questions are, and we will answer them to the best of our ability. Well, Alex, my brother always said, he had a certain amount of ammo and said, by the time I use this up, I'll either won or be dead. Your furnace ETA is 1 hour? Well, that's good, Brian. So you're getting one too. Theoretically, we're going to be getting one here within the next month or so. I haven't heard anything from the person involved. They said they were going to send us a prototype to test out. I agree with the practicing and stuff, but yeah, you can burn up a lot of ammo real quick in terms of money. Since I don't have the money, I just have to hope that all my hunting experience will do good enough for whatever I need to do. Am I a great shot? Hell no. My eyes aren't good enough to make me a great shot. The other thing is it's harder to carry, Jean-Francois. What temp do you preheat the Qpels to? Little one?
I generally bring mine up to about 900 degrees Fahrenheit over about a 15-minute period.
900 degrees for 15 minutes is Eva's preheat. What rate?
Over a 15-minute period, and then I let the temperature come up to about 1400 before I drop the button.
Okay, and then she brings it up to about 1400 before she drops the button in. So about a 15 minutes at 900 as a preheat, and then crank it up to compelling temperature before she puts the button on it. What ratio of lead to gold for cupellation?
What are we trying to? Are we working here with concentrates, or are we working with what?
Lead to gold. How much gold? Now, I say, are we trying to refine it, or are we trying to extract it?
Are we assaying it, or are we refining?
Let me finish my question. Do you have any silver in it? One of the big things is silver acts like a detergent for gold in lead. It makes it much more soluble. And what temperature do you cupel at, little one?
Generally about 1600 to 1750 max Fahrenheit.
She generally cupels at 1600 to 1750 max. And for how long? It's going to depend on how much lead you've got that you got to vaporize. Do you have any? Well, not vaporize, but convert.
Yes.
Um,
In general, you know your cupel cycle is working well if you are losing about 1 gram of lead per minute. So if you put a 30-gram button in there, then your cupellation cycle should be complete in about 20 some odd minutes, because 20 grams of it are lead. If you put 30 grams of lead in there to start with, it's going to take 30 minutes to get rid of it if you're cupelling at the right rate.
Yeah. Okay.
You want an excess of lead.
How long does the button take to lead? You lose about 1 gram a minute, according to Eva.
You lose about 1 gram of lead a minute.
1 gram of lead per minute. You're looking for refining, huh? Okay.
Okay.
The button does not dissolve. The button melts and oxidizes, and the oxide on the surface absorbs into the cupel. The lead will not wet the cupel. The lead oxide will. So that's what's happening. Is the lead is oxidizing, the oxide is going into the cupel, leading remaining metallic lead and your precious metals. Eventually, there's no more lead left. The precious metals do not oxidize, and they wind up as a bead on top of the cupel.
Yeah, and refining requires chemistry.
Yeah, and if you're going to refine using cupellation, the question is do you want to get pure gold or just a gold silver button? Big difference. If you're going to try and get a pure gold, you're going to have to get to chemistry.
Yeah.
The
if you
silver.
Want to try to get the pure gold, then you're going to need a silver in quart and chemistry.
Yeah. You know, so if you're just looking for a precious metals button, then yeah, cupelling will be all you need. And if you want to refine to pure gold, then you have to make sure there's enough silver in it, then dissolve the silver away. Years, Dave, it depends on how big. A lot of it has to do with permitting too. You know, the core drilling is to give the engineers the basic data to start their planning, and also to plan expanding the drill pattern. You know, you want to keep stepping out. As long as you're still drilling into ore, you want to keep going out. But it's going to take yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And how much of that is permitting delays on average, Rock? To me, it seemed like permitting delays were usually more than, I mean, if it was just, if there was abundant money, yeah, most of it. There was abundant money, and all you had to do was leave it up to the engineers to determine what they got and how they wanted to get it out. I would think that they would normally be able to do that in 2 or 3 years, unless they had a lot of drilling to do. You know, if that ore body just kept getting bigger and bigger and deeper and like that, I would think the actual technical parts of that are 1 to 2 years. Would you agree with that? I know a lot of the risks involved are in the permitting. Yeah. Um, it's one of those issues where the regulatory stuff, and as Rock brings up, conflicting things. You know, you might have a Bureau of Mines that, a Department of Environmental Quality that has this, but then you'll have like fish and game over here and this and that and the other, you know, and yeah, that may be what it may be a different name for the same operation. Dave, there might be a subcontractor that Alex was talking to. That's awfully close. You know, Twin Bridges and Dillon, what's the difference? 20, 25 miles, something like that. You know, south of Twin Bridges and north of Dillon isn't a very big area. But yeah, it in the regulatory thing too, you wind up with these deal breakers. I mean, that mine, what is that mine in Alaska? Copper or something or whatever.
I know Pebble Creek was
Pebble
having a
Creek.
lot of problems.
Yeah, Pebble Creek. In Pebble, the Pebble mine up in Alaska supposedly was, going to be operating years ago. They're still fighting it.
Rosemont Copper.
In Tucson, Rosemont Copper got final permits, and 10 years later still wasn't producing any copper because people just kept filing suits and stuff. So this creates a level of risk for the mining companies that can substantially change their equation, their calculations. Do we go ahead with that project? Black Butte is going to have a really hard. Why is that, Alex? What's the big problem with Black Butte? NIMBYs or locals?
I figured they'd be
technical
problems.
Well, if Rock's ever in the area, we'll have to get you two together if you're also in the area, Alex. Trout Unlimited slandering them. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Well, I figured something was going on because the uptick in billboards and commercials I have seen has been kind of an indicator that they're in trouble.
I mean, what the environmentalists love to do is throw out possibilities or things that have happened in the past or whatever without saying, without taking into consideration what engineering efforts are going to be made to mitigate those risks in this particular situation. Okay, Alex says the environmental impact is zero.
Yeah.
It's amazing design. And that would not surprise me.
Yeah, but as I said, I mean, I've started seeing commercials for them on my games.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. By the way, Alex, these are federal lawsuits or state lawsuits or both? Hello, Gold Pan and Suntan. I know we got state suits, huh? Well, that's something we have a little more control over. So,
Well, the environmental groups are probably getting paid by the feds. We all know they do.
yeah, they get money from the feds. That's right. Um, we still haven't heard anything from the governor's office. I went there last week to see if they had any answer to
It's the Christmas holiday. I don't expect to hear from them until the week after
yeah
New Year.
to my previous questions about what is Montana doing to make itself more resilient. Not that the world is unstable or anything. Not that anything possibly could mess with our supply chains, like the freight traffic suddenly not being able to go through a major choke point on the Earth's surface, or potential in nuclear war erupting and maybe affecting our our silos in North Montana. No, there's no reason to worry about anything in terms of significant disruptions. But anyhow, it was an interesting visit. In Montana, the legislature made a law that basically, yeah, I would agree, Alex. They basically made a law that said a lot of things are open to public carry. You know, yeah, that would be Rosemont at least one. I don't know if there's others. I wouldn't be surprised, Rock. But anyhow, I called up ahead of time and asked for someone who knew. So they gave me the facilities management people, the head of facilities management, and I asked him, "Am I allowed to carry a weapon into the Capitol building?" Now, in Arizona, the rule was if you had a state building that did not allow weapons, then they had to provide secure storage inside the entry. You walk in, you go to security, you hand over your gun, they put it in a little locked thing. In Montana, they haven't gone to that extent. Apparently, you just walk in. Now, I'm a big Second Amendment guy, but that seems potentially a little bit, over the line. They might want to add a little bit of modification there. But anyhow, we went up there, and when we got to the door, it said, "No weapons." I'm like, okay, little one, go in there and talk to security. And Alex suggests we should call Black Butte's office in White Sulphur Springs and ask for a tour and a video.
I would love to.
That would be great. Absolutely. Let me write that down. Yeah, good.
I would absolutely love to visit them.
Black Butte.
I'm a fan of this idea.
Trip. That's a great idea. Thank you very much, Alex. And so anyhow, I told Eva, go on in and talk to security and see what the situation is. So I had assumed there might very well be some complications. And so she comes back out with the security guy. Not to my knowledge, Jean-Francois. I see that. Anyone else seeing Jean-Francois just posted at 6:37? But anyhow, so he comes out. He's like a sergeant or something. He's state police, and I don't know, Jean-Francois. They've changed the system a little bit too. Pin message, remove. So I'm not sure what's going on right now, but I had a message when I first called up the live stream today that they'd made some changes to something. So who knows? Anyhow, he came out, and 8:37, I see, am I blocked again? And that's it. It may be a particular word or something you used that YouTube just automatically blocked it. And he came out, and since we wanted to go see the governor, who has even more security or whatever, he suggests that he just escort me to the government's office. And I said, if it's going to be a problem, I can just put my gun in my car. And he seemed kind of reluctant to do that. My assumption is he was afraid that if I put it in my car, I might come back and say, he didn't want me to come in the building and he might get in trouble. I don't know. But anyhow, he seemed almost insistent now that we were there. Yes, just follow me and I'll take you to the governor's office. And so, as I say, it was interesting to see how I'd call it a little chaotic the situation was. Um, and he said they had legislative sessions where they had citizens in the gallery with AR-15s. I say I'm a Second Amendment guy, but I think that's maybe gotten a little farther than we need to, you know. But anyhow, so as I say, that was interesting. That if the government would just leave us alone, a lot of things would go a lot better. And I am seeing timestamps, Jeff. I know that I have been informed that, and not necessarily by a major source, that it's still not allowed in a bank if they don't want you to, and my bank prefers not. They're nice people, so what the hell? And Costco doesn't allow it. Now they're a private club, so to speak, so they might have a certain exemption in terms of they're not necessarily a place of public accommodation. So I don't know.
I still cannot believe that my package was in Billings and is now in Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah. Well, Alex, do you carry concealed or open? Because I carry open and it's reasonably big. Yeah, I got a Ruger Super Red Hawk with a 7.5-inch barrel.
Remember that lady in Tucson that said it was compensation?
Yeah, I remember. That was funny. Yeah, it's not like they're going to, just throw you in jail or anything. But again, if I want to go into Costco, it's their business, and these other businesses, I don't think they're allowed to. I think if you want to go to the grocery store and if they don't want you to carry a gun, they can't say no. That's the implication I heard. Yeah, I'll say I understand concealed carry, not a problem.
Oh wow!
But if somebody wants to get me, like say a 1911 and 10 millimeter, preferably a Kimber with a shoulder rig, an extra mag and stuff, I'll be happy to carry concealed. But those things cost money, and say I've got the 44 and I got it for particular reasons, power and accuracy. I also saw a YouTube video just yesterday where some company, I think it was, had done a study on bear encounters.
Yeah.
It all depends on where you're at, Noble. Is it a nuisance? Yes. Is it a liability? If it's concealed, I would say no. It is a bit of a nuisance. But it's one of those things, carrying a spare tire in a toolbox is a bit of a nuisance too, but it comes in useful. The thing with a gun is if you ever need to use it, it's probably the only time in your life you're going to need it, but without it, you may be in big trouble,
Those guys on the
but with the bear thing, they found that they were pistols have been extremely effective in breaking off bear attacks and or killing the bears. Even when some of the stuff like 45 ACP, 357 Magnum, 38 Special, and stuff like that. And then it's probably, the loud noise and all this other stuff will tend to do it. Let's say I've got a 44. It's about as big as comfortable to shoot for me anyway. I bought it for hunting and for self-defense at ranges. I mean, southern Arizona, where, it's open desert, but, you may have a smuggler group or something like that. And again, the primary thing is situational awareness. If you see them, you don't go their way. You just pretend you don't see them and kind of go the other way. They're not looking to get into a gunfight, you know? So if they don't see any reason to cause trouble, they don't want to. Their job is to get the packages through and get home. That's all. And so that's where, I bought it for. It works fine here. I also want to use it hunting sometime.
You actually have a scope for that,
Alex. It is a pain in the butt to be carrying versus nothing. I mean, it takes extra actions and thought. Like for example, I'm going to go shopping. Am I going to go to Costco? That's a question I have to think about. Whereas if I'm not carrying, I don't. Things like that. No, fear of guns is not completely irrational, but it's one of those things that has been exacerbated a lot. When you look with the statistics, it appears that the possession of guns by significant sections of the population does make things safer. But let's get off the subject. We're getting a little bit away from the mining here.
YouTube.
I say this is a mining thing, but anyhow. Well, that's an interesting question. Fear of death is real, but you're going to die. So, I mean, my brother brought up an interesting point. He says you can never save somebody's life. All you can do is extend it. And that throws a little bit different. My EMT instructor said, how much is a human life worth? And of course, somebody in the classroom said, it's priceless. He said, good. Would you go into debt forever to save the life of someone you don't know and will never meet? Okay, you're putting a price on it,
The Mandela effect.
And therefore, it's something that, say, emergency services is got to deal with at all times. They have to make these decisions. He said we could save a lot more patients if we had trauma surgeons on every ambulance. But you know what the price is? We could spend that somewhere else and do better. It's interesting, Then don't, Noble. If you don't, then it's not going to be productive. Carbon cloth is a PGM collector. Is that particulates or out of solution, Brian? That happens too, Jean-Francois. Let's go ahead and kind of table that for now. You need it for that, blind dude. Okay. Anyhow, out of solution. That would not surprise me. I knew a guy that actually got some carbon fiber, was using it to try, and it worked really well. When he tried to get some more of it, he found he'd accidentally gotten a sample of stuff that was military grade stuff, and they wanted it back. Uh, anyhow, so
I just thought that we needed to put something on the whiteboard.
what? What is that? Oh, the debt.
Yeah. By the way, it just clicked over 276, and we're almost at
Okay.
277. That's how fast this number is climbing.
Well, do you think you're going to have a polymetallic ore body there, or a primarily just a precious metals? Jeff, as I understand it, it is effective sometimes. Percentage wise, not as good as a gun, but a heck of a lot better than nothing. You know? Not out of solution, Alex. I don't think so. Um, got a lot of things here. I would be very suspicious of those, Brian. I would definitely uh, get backup chemical analysis, fire assays, and on that. I have seen XRF show, 30, 40 parts per million PGMs that were not there. Okay. So you would definitely want to confirm that. And that goes for everything with an XRF. When you're dealing with precious metals, the XRF is a piece of data, not a proof, you know. Yeah, Alex, the other thing is if you have someone who's not very good with a gun, or, doesn't, again, if you have people that don't like guns, which is fine, they've got another alternative. Yes, it does have the wide spray. And like in my case with Eva and me, she's got the bear spray. I've got the pistol. I'm comfortable with the pistol. She's not. It's a big pistol. It's not her size, you know? And so I say it's a lot better than a rock. Yeah. um, yeah, I say XRFs are an interesting tool, but they're not definitive.
Wow.
Yeah, I would guess so, Alex. But hey, Rock, what is the actual sample size that the XRF is detecting if it's a handheld unit and not a bench unit? And if it is a bench unit with the pucks, about what is the effective sample size? That's an excellent point. Yeah, I say it's the yeah, but what's the depth too, Alex? Okay, a couple millimeters across the circle, like way less than a gram then. Oh yeah, Hazen's a reputable company, Brian, but it's it's a matter of the physics. It can only do so much. So the Goldbug Pro could not pick it up at all. Okay. The only one that I know of that is known to do that is the Falcon. The Falcon 20 would pick up a picker for definitely sure. Okay. But it has a very small search area. You know, the volume of rock you can search instantaneously is pretty small, you know. Uh, what I wrote, not what yeah, I saw that rock. Still only a gram or two, you know. That that's a big problem when you're dealing with stuff in small quantities. That's why, you know, if the bottle roll is suitable for the gold that I'm dealing with, I like the idea of a bottle roll because I got a 500-gram sample, you know, and that gives me
Wow.
a lot of, you know, it starts averaging things out a lot better. Good one, blind dude. You know, the guy who's sat at Joe Biden, you know, blind dude said, "This is a minors, MINERS channel at Joe Biden, not minors, MINORS." Oh, very good. Hey, Secret. I don't know. I've never tried it on tungsten powder, Jean-Francois. Man, the other problem is the term powder because all metal detectors, and I'm not sure of what the physics is behind this, but you can take a bunch of small particles of gold that are indetectable, fuse them into a single particle, and it would be easily detectable. So the the ability to detect any particular amount of gold would depend on how many particles it's in. And that apparently is a function of the way metal detectors work. Not an expert. Uh, we were talking. The Falcon is a metal detector. You know, just a very very small one because the eddy currents in very small particles are very faint. Okay, each grain becomes a coil in itself. Okay, trying to TDS meter on the in and out of my leach filters. Well, let us know how that works out, Brian. I don't know. And even then, Rock, it assumes that the particular sample that you're looking at actually has the gold, whereas a much larger sample might have substantial gold. Hey, Red Wing. Uh, that's also why you detect a coin better when it's lying flat than when it's on its edge. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, yeah. Um, so, say we're the whole thing of sample analysis and detection of valuable minerals or stuff is really kind of complex in some ways, but the basics are fairly simple. He was on a tank leach a long time ago, and it gradually climbed until I ran it through the zinc. Yeah, Jean Francois, they're using for much bigger particles. Yeah. That's a good question, David. Would that piedra or piedro? Because piedra, rock, I don't think has a gender on it, but clearly rock is male. So that would it be piedro or piedra? Any Spanish experts here that could answer that question definitively? Um, Tiny pieces of gold comes in handy if you're doing hard rock. Yeah.
Uh, Roca, Roca, which is feminine,
Yeah.
or piedras,
Yeah.
which is feminine.
But if you had a man named Rock, like Rock Hudson, would that be Piedra?
No clue, dude.
You know?
No clue, dude. There is zero clue involved over here on that issue. I'm just sitting here watching this number go to the moon.
Do you identify as an O or an A? Yeah. You could also use it possibly to detect tail ends of pay streaks or something. You know? True. Jean Pierre, Jean Francois. Oh, my goodness. So, I say it would be nice if somebody would take care, Alex. If somebody could come up with a good handheld detector that had the right signal to noise ratio and sample size and everything, so that you could just point it at a rock and get a good uh, a good result, a reliable, accurate result.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
the Falcon is better on really small gold, but it has a much smaller sample location. And then say that's the negative on it. Uh,
Oh, that's just lovely.
7,500. Is that a MineLab 7,500? Is that what you're talking about? One search? Yeah, well, we're not freezing our nuggets off. That's my thought, is that, as I say, the Falcon is just beats the MineLabs, but it wouldn't be good for a searching sort of situation, because it's just, I mean, it's only detecting that large, whereas the thing is that big. Yes, I know, Chris. You don't have to be mean or anything.
I should have had you note the time I wrote that number down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's a very, very specialized device. It's extremely optimized for one thing, and that's it. And to do that is to give up a lot of other stuff like size and and speed and all that other stuff. But yeah, it does one thing very, very well. Minimum size gold, you know. That's it. Yeah. So far I haven't found much in my hard rock with the Falcon shiny, but the stuff I've been dealing with is real fine. No, I have not. And is that on the 7500 one search? Excuse me. I don't think the Falcon has that kind of function to it.
Oh, I forgot 2 arrows.
Mind Lab. Yeah, I've never heard of that. It sounds like a fun thing. 33 trillion, and the last 6 numbers are moving too fast for you to get a number, huh?
Mm-hmm. I wish I'd had you know at the time I wrote it down, because I'm going to write the new number for the last ones you can get reasonably.
I can look it up on when we do the replay.
I'm gonna write the new number when I come on, or
Yeah.
just before I come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I say I would really like it if somebody could do that, but nobody has managed it yet. Okay. For refining a precious metal button from pan down concentrates, mostly gold with some sulfides, what would be a ballpark cupellation ratio of lead to gold?
Okay. Oh, if it's got some sulfides in it, I would start by roasting it for a little bit to see if I could turn those sulfides into oxides.
Yeah, you could also potentially add some potassium. Is it potassium nitrate?
Yeah.
Okay, some potassium nitrate to oxidize them.
Yeah.
You know.
In the smelt, you would want to smelt it down with some niter in it anyway, in that case.
But the lead to gold ratio, little one?
At a very minimum, I usually will weigh whatever I am trying to turn into a bead. So, say I am trying to turn 5 grams of material into a bead. At a very minimum, I will use 3 times the lead of that number. So, if I had 5 grams of concentrates that I wanted to try to turn into a bead, there'd be 15 grams of lead in that smelt.
Mm-hmm.
At a very minimum. If I wanted to possibly part this bead in nitric acid to end up with real gold, pure gold, at the end of the whole thing, and I did not have an assay available, I would inquart silver in the amount of about 1/4 the weight of my concentrates, because I would assume that my concentrates are not more than 25% gold. If you're going to part a bead, you need to have a minimum, under ideal conditions, according to the book, a minimum of 2.15 times the silver as gold to get a bead to part. Jean-Francois, I inquart silver because that's what the book does. The sacred book, as in the textbook of fire assay, inquarts silver. I don't argue with the book. And copper is actually a confounding element. One of the reasons that fire assaying inquarts silver in the first place is because that gives you several values here. Say you have a starting number of 5 grams. So you know how much material is going in there. And you know how much lead you add. And you know how much silver you add. If you ended up with, say, a 3-gram bead, and you know you added 1 gram of silver, then you have 2 known values. When you part this bead, say you ended up with a half a gram of gold. You've got 3 grams to start with, minus your 1 gram of silver, leaves you 2 grams. 2 grams minus a half a gram of gold means your original material had 1.5 grams of silver in it. That's one of the copper can confound a lot of things, especially in a fire assay. And that's primarily what I'm doing.
Doesn't it also tend to carry some of the gold into the cupel?
Yes. It can cause precious metals to migrate, not just gold, but silver.
Okay. So that's why, in terms of the deep theory behind it, neither Eva or I know. We know that's what the textbook says to use. That's what we do.
Assayers use silver as an import.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. I say that is the standard. What's that textbook title? What's the name of it?
A textbook of fire assay by Busbee. Busbee.
A textbook of fire assay by Busbee.
Yeah, that's his last name.
There you go.
That should get you.
Bugbee is what Chris
Bugbee
says.
Yeah. Sorry, Bugbee.
Let's see if I can. Huh.
Just
it's not allowing it used to allow me to edit.
Well, don't bother editing. Just type in all capital letters Bugbee.
Yeah.
Typo.
Well, Chris already got it.
Yeah. Chris probably has the link somewhere.
Yeah, he says you can find a PDF, but it's worth having a printed copy.
Oh yeah, it's definitely worth having a printed copy. Mine is dog-eared, all over the place, and highlighted in a few locations. And I go back and reread it.
Yeah. Probably Chris is correct. Jean-Francois. Bugbee. I know sulfides can have, bad effects on concrete. Jean-Francois, there's a company called Legend, and I actually have a link to that. So just a second here. Legend assay. There it is, right there.
Everybody's cupels suck rocks, by the way.
Okay. This is to the scorifiers and stuff. Control C, but that'll get you to their website. Control V. There we go.
It should be noted everybody's cupels suck.
There's Legend assaying supplies and stuff, and Chris says it's available there. Yeah, well, we the crucipels seem to work. They certainly save a lot of money. They wouldn't work very well on a high precision fire assay because it'd be awful hard to find the bead.
Yeah.
But when you're doing refining, basically, or dealing with concentrates that you're smelting down, they work just fine.
I'm sorry, not some more hamburger, by the way.
Go ahead, see if I care. Huh. Shiny Rock says the entire Pactola Dam in South Dakota is built on sulfide mineralized rock. That dam failed back in the 70s and it's going to fail again. It's literally rusting away.
That seems like a very bad plan. Just saying.
I don't know how much of a problem it is, Jeff. If you had a lot of, if you had a fairly moist area, I would think that the surface would not have too much iron sulfide in it, but you might have to dig down to get a good foundation for a dam where it did. You know, you take care, Rock. Drive safe. Looks like the weather will be good at least.
Wow.
Yep. Oh my goodness, Jean-Francois. That sounds about right. Oh my goodness, multi-billion-dollar lawsuit, huh? Okay.
If you like, I don't think we're going to be doing any long live streams tonight.
Nah, we'll probably quit fairly soon after. We don't really have anything much to mention, but it's hard to tell where the thing will go. I'm pretty sure that's exactly it, Jeff. So you get that pyrrhotite in there, and then bad things happen. Chris suggests there's a book called Refining Precious Metals by C.M. Hoke. That's also useful.
Well, I definitely want to get it. I want to get all books, okay?
I have never done that, Shiny Rocks. It's kind of an interesting combination of using the techniques of underground mining, but for the mining part, but then you do the processing is more of placer mining. You'd want to avoid excessive grinding if you could, um, because there's no sense grinding up your gold smaller than you need to if you don't have to. If you can just crush the rock well and then do a gravity extraction, it should work. I mean, after all, if it concentrated in a natural environment, it should concentrate in an unnatural environment that's highly specified, highly specific for that. It's designed for that sort of thing. But I have seen a placer drift mine in Mexico that had a roof 40 feet across. That that caliche was tough. It was calcite cemented placers, and they were tough. And they also stacked the cobbles in the tunnels. And so, why haul it all to surface? And that also gives you a bit of potential ground support, although I don't recall any place where the cobbles were actually touching the ceiling in any meaningful way. I mean, they just stacked them up to get them out of the way. But it would have provided some ground support if needed. I just didn't see it needed. It was it was some pretty good solid material, a lot more solid than we had when I worked underground in sandstone. Well, how sketchy is a frig? But yeah, you need to combine the two worlds: the mining of underground mining, the extraction of placer mining, with the crushing of hard rock. It gets confusing. It's also nice if you have it in a place where you can take your crushed material that you then screen and sell it for aggregate. That's nice. Yeah, whenever you can produce a saleable product in terms of aggregate or something like that, that can really help your bottom line. I know a guy down there near Safford, Arizona, and he said he knew a place there was really good gold, but he's not going to tell anyone because there's an old magazine there with about 5 tons of dynamite in it still sitting there. What is this? Well, that was my daughter, Heather. I think she realized it was my live stream or whatever. Either that or she accidentally dialed me because I called her yesterday. It can be they're using the same. Yeah, it was a butt dial, she says. Yeah, you use the same kind of techniques as you would in placer mining, except it's a lot harder to dig. Let's see, what else was there? One missed call. Yeah, okay. No biggie. Cajun chicken with cheese and veggies. Misspelled there. That's how you spell it. Yeah, it's basically like a calcite cemented alluvium. Mexican word. Cajun flavored chicken. It sounds too hot for me. I'm not into that hot stuff. It to me it just doesn't taste good when there's too much heat. It's like getting beat with a stick. It's like, what's the fun in this? And
tell them about what happened today.
yeah, it was kind of funny. We were trying to make some crackers, habanero crackers for Lauren. He really likes hot stuff, and I thought about a whole habanero in a double batch, which is 2 cups of flour. It was also keto, so it was almond flour. And when it cooked up and everything, Lauren tried it and he said, "This stuff isn't hot at all." So I tried and it's like, no, I can eat this stuff without discomfort. So I made another batch today, which has that had roughly 10 times the habanero concentration in it. So hopefully he'll enjoy it. But I'll tell you what, man, woo, my eyes. I used a little.
Your eyes. My eyes were burning. I could taste it in my mouth, and I was beginning to have trouble breathing.
Yeah, it's some serious stuff. It's definitely cemented hard. That's good because you say you want it well cemented, not fractured, and you know, make sure that you have adequate ground support, whatever it takes for what you're doing. If it's in fairly good condition, you could probably get by with natural ground support if you're not going too wide. But I mean, better to be safe than sorry. Dude, Chris, I just wanted to handle them as little as possible.
He wears gloves when he handles them.
Yeah, I wear gloves.
I can't handle them at all. I'm allergic.
She's allergic. But yeah, we tried. I haven't heard response. Clara picked them up when she was in town this afternoon, but I haven't heard what the results were. Lauren, if you're watching, let me know how that turned out. quite often he'll watch but not comment unless he has something specific to say. Talk. I can talk to Lauren about that, but I don't like the hot stuff, Chris. Not at all. Yeah. I say to me, it's just I'm not masochistic. I don't like pain. There's obviously something different between people. Some people get a pleasurable sensation from that hot stuff. Other people do not. I do not. That's all there is to it. My brother, he likes the hot stuff. Yeah, Hatch green chili is pretty hot for a green chili. I like Anaheim's. Anaheim's are just fine. You know, I do not like hot sauces, salsa or whatever. But I'm always the guy with the mild. You know, the green label stuff, not the yellow, not the red, the green label. That's me. Little wussy bear. That's right, little wussy bear. Uh, anyhow, uh, anyone else got any other subjects here that we can jump on to? Um, what's the price of gold been doing? Still hanging around about the same?
We'll be getting to that since Kitco is experiencing technical difficulties, but we'll be getting to that. Okay?
Okay, let me see.
I mean, no, dude. 2026 and change is the last
So
I saw.
so basically the same
Yeah.
stuff.
Basically the same stuff.
Okay, here's Eva.
Does that answer your question?
About an hour ago.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So about
And yeah, the decimal places are right. So yes, that is millions with an M.
so about $100 million an hour, huh?
Just so you know. Shiny hydrochloric and nitric do not dissolve quartz. What dissolves quartz is hydrofluoric with an F that nobody in the right mind plays with. Okay?
I think you can also use
You do not.
lye.
No.
I think you can also use lye to dissolve quartz. Ask Chris.
Chris
Hot lye.
Bear seems to think you can use hot lye to dissolve quartz. Any input on this?
I believe it makes sodium silicate.
Anywho, it has been another blessedly news devoid week. Absolutely nothing is happening anywhere. Just so you know. I mean, if you watch the mainstream media, you would absolutely believe that nothing of any import is happening anywhere. You certainly would not have found out until a couple of days after it happened that some former Senate staffer put a very, very nasty video on his Twitter page that was filmed in a Senate hearing room. The goddess was shocked and dismayed at just how viral that very, very triple X rated video went. One has to wonder about some people. Just saying. Good night, Jean Francois. Yeah, it was absolutely awful, blind dude. I mean, ew. Okay, just seriously, ew. You know, I do believe that NBC News kind of. I was surprised they went there at all. Everybody else was studiously ignoring the entire situation. NBC News went there and promptly made utter fools of themselves. Not that this is necessarily surprising, you know, I mean, we all say. In other news, apparently, one of our carrier groups that's had just arrived at the Philippines is kind of made a U-turn and is headed toward the Red Sea at a very fast pace for some bizarre and unaccountable reason, which may or may not have anything to do with Houthis shooting all kinds of ships and things. Hmm.
Fishing bite is on.
This is going to be something of an issue if it continues because apparently a whole lot of freight goes through that part of the Red Sea. No idea why that is, but it is. And it has become enough of a problem that like 3 of the top 10 shipping companies in the world have kind of stopped sending their boats over there.
8 now.
8 now? Ooh. Wow, that could get even more interesting. Which kind of makes you wonder. The memory hole has gotten very deep indeed on the pileup of shipping containers that still exists in the ports of California. But that's okay. I'm pretty sure that the stuff that's been sitting around in those containers for years is just fine anyway. Just saying. Panama rejects Orla Mining's request for a permit extension. So once again, Panama is in the mining news, and not in a very good way, it looks like. Orla Mining said Monday the Panamanian government had rejected the company's request for permit extensions at 3 mining concessions that made up the Cerro Quema gold project. The Vancouver based miner said the government went as far as to declare the area compromising the concessions to be a reserve area, canceling them altogether. Orla, which also has assets in Mexico and the U.S. state of Nevada, said it would continue to monitor developments in Panama. The goddess would say the same thing to Orla that she'd say to any mining company. Why the hell aren't you mining in your own country? I mean, this whole geopolitical thing is getting really, really bad lately. Just saying.
Is the United States any better?
Oh, I didn't say it was. But it's a lot easier to affect political change in your country if you have all your crap tons of money and your crap tons of lawyers in your country, as opposed to screwing around in other people's countries. It also noted the situation in the Central American country, which recently forced First Quantum to shut down its giant Cobre Panama copper mine, remained uncertain and evolving quickly. Orla added it has decided not to consider any further spending toward the developing the Cerro Quema project. Oh dear. The goddess is playing the world's smallest violin in sympathy for Panama since they're screwing themselves. Hmm. The company will explore all legal remedies available to protect historical investments and potentially unlock additional value for shareholders, including taking measures to protect its rights under international law, Orla said in the statement. Cerro Quema's development considers open pit mining of 21.7 million tons of ore from the La Pava and Quema Camita pits. The operation, planned to be built in multiple phases, is estimated to be able to produce 81,000 ounces of gold over an estimated 6-year mine life. During the construction stage, Orla estimates it would generate 3,600 direct and indirect jobs and 1,200 during operations. Pressed by massive protests against mining in Panama, the government of Laurentino Cortizo passed a bill on November 2nd banning all new mining concessions and permit extensions in the country. Other companies active in Panama include Franco Nevada, Antler Gold, and AIS Resources. It remains unclear how the ongoing developments will affect their projects and operations. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit bizarre. And yes, that is an excellent link for watching shipping things. Very good link. Thank you, Chris.
Little one?
Hmm?
Any speculation on who's paying for all these protests?
No speculation at this time on who's paying for the protests, though consensus of opinion in the tinfoil hat community is that the vast majority of these protests are indeed
Indigenous?
No, exactly the opposite. They are indeed rent a mob type deals. Now, what's interesting to note in all these cases is quite frequently a protest that starts out as purely a rent a mob thing, engineered by somebody with a specific agenda, morphs over time into a true organic protest as more and more useful idiots in the surrounding area decide to jump on board. It, the mechanics and psychology of these protests utilize man's instincts toward a sort of a herd mentality somehow, which is a little bit bizarre. But yeah, the goddess is totally unsympathetic toward the Panamanian government on this issue. They're screwing over their economy and they're screwing over their people, and they should absolutely be allowed to do so. The goddess would, in fact, if she were the owner of one of these mining companies, simply move out, shut everything down, mothball it, and go to a sane part of the world and make it very clear that you're leaving because you want to go to a sane part of the world. As we have seen in America, we have the same problem here. We have NIMBY idiots of various types that will hold up mining projects. It's easy to do this when the mining companies themselves, first of all, are not presenting a united front and jumping on all this crap when it starts before it becomes an issue. And second of all, when the mining companies aren't doing that because a whole lot of their money is being made elsewhere. If they got back home where they belonged, first of all, we would have a whole lot better jobs and a better infrastructure, which we're getting to that in a minute. And it would give them more political power. Because it's one thing if you shut down a mining project, okay, depending on the size of the project. It's another thing if you have a large group of mining companies with a really good group of lawyers and some really deep pockets that are willing to put a whole hell of a lot of money into buying rent-a-mobs of their own, which would, if nothing else, make the rent-a-mob business go away. That business model would disappear, poof, like that, if conservatives started using them or corporations started using them. You bet that business model would go away real friggin' quick, okay? It would. We all know that. Blind dude. Tisk, tisk, tisk. I am sure your wife wasn't quite that rude. And don't ask, Bear. You can come read over my shoulder if you want to see what he is impugning his wife's name on. Okay? In other infrastructure news, that is bad infrastructure news, what else is new? Because I did the world's smallest violin. Okay? If you're not getting the joke, go away. In other infrastructure news that is bad infrastructure news and will probably be played off as great news, Nippon Steel agrees to buy U.S. Steel for 14.1 billion with a B dollars. Yes, indeed, once again, it appears that a large chunk of America's domestic infrastructure and critical industry is going to be bought by a foreign company. This is not good. The goddess does not approve of foreign companies owning large chunks of critical American industry or infrastructure. Not good. Nippon Steel will buy United States Steel Corporation for 14.1 billion with a B to create the world's second largest steel company and the biggest outside China, with a key role in supplying American manufacturers and automakers, so they claim. The deal ends months of uncertainty over the future of U.S. Steel, an icon of American industry, which has been considering bids since it rejected an offer from rival Cleveland Cliffs Incorporated in August. Nippon Steel's all cash offer is significantly higher than the roughly $7.25 billion Cliffs offered at the time, and a whopping 142% premium to U.S. Steel's share price on the last trading day before it announced its strategic review. For Nippon Steel, Japan's biggest steel producer, the transaction provides a large foothold in the American steel industry when U.S. demand is poised to benefit from rising infrastructure spending. U.S. Steel is a key supplier to the lucrative automotive market in particular. What are you cooking?
Chicken and onions.
Oh, okay. So nothing for me, huh? Okay.
I could easily make some for you.
If we have any chicken to shred up, that would be great.
Working on it.
U.S. Steel is a key supplier to the lucrative automotive market in particular, and the Chinese and the Japanese company has been seeking growth overseas as it faces a slowdown in demand at home, combined with a weakening yen and a surge in competition across Asia. U.S. Steel shares jumped 26% to close at $49.59 in New York. Cliffs rose 9.6% as the company indicated it's refocusing on share buybacks as a use of capital, choosing to walk away rather than doubling down on its pursuit. ArcelorMittal SA, which also had been reported as a potential buyer, gained 5.3%. The deal announced Monday would create a steel giant with plants stretching from Slovakia to Osaka and Pennsylvania. The combined firm would be the world's second biggest steelmaker with more than 86 million tons of capacity, leapfrogging European giant ArcelorMittal, according to a company presentation and Bloomberg calculations. Only China's state-owned China Baowu Steel Group Corporation would have more. However, the deal's already shaping up as a political lightning rod. After the influential United Steelworkers Union criticized the foreign takeover, absolutely, and urged U.S. regulators to apply close scrutiny. Shouldn't have even gotten this far. At least 3 U.S. senators said they oppose the deal. In a presentation, Nippon Steel said it was expanding its U.S. presence to benefit from a growing population, cheap energy, and renewed focus on building infrastructure. The company said it had secured commitments to finance the transaction from Japanese banks. Analysts weighed in on the deal, noting Nippon Steel's offer was higher than market expectations. KeyBank capital markets analyst Phil Gibbs said in a note to clients the implied enterprise value of about $14.9 billion was well above recently rumored levels. It certainly is. While Wolf Research analyst Timna Tanners called Nippon Steel a wild card, paying a lofty price. For American industry, the takeover will mark the end of an era. U.S. Steel traces its roots back to 1901, when J. Pierpont Morgan merged a collection of assets with Andrew Carnegie's Carnegie Steel Company. It has undergone a dramatic shift in recent years under CEO David B. Burritt as its investment focus pivoted away from traditional blast furnace production of steel from iron ore toward a more modern and less polluting plants that remelt metal scrap instead. Hmm. Does that mean we'll stop sending the majority of our metal scrap overseas to China? The goddess has to wonder about this. The company was catapulted into the spotlight in August after revealing it had rejected an offer from Cliffs and begun a strategic review. The announcement kicked off a dramatic few weeks as the USW threw its support behind Cliffs' pugnacious chief executive, while a little known buyer startled the industry with an even larger offer before abruptly pulling the interest days later. As U.S. Steel considered its options, analysts speculated certain buyers would be more focused on the firm's Big River steel plant in Arkansas, which uses the greener, more efficient electric arc furnaces, while seeking to offload the older blast furnace assets. However, Nippon Steel Executive Vice President Takahiro Mori said the company intends to continue with U.S. Steel's existing plans for the company, including completing the Big River project and continuing to operate the legacy steelmaking assets. He said the company is supportive of U.S. Steel's strategy. After a few years, we may think in another way, but at this moment, we are just following the current plan. Oh, that's rather ominous. The deal requires U.S. Steel shareholder approval and will need to clear regulators, including, and this is where it's going to fly right through, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S., or CFIUS. For those who are unaware, CFIUS is the five-letter agency that is very happy to allow anybody and everybody to buy all kinds of critical shit in this country. One has to wonder who they get their kickbacks from. Nippon Steel's Mori said he's confident on clearing the regulatory hurdles, pointing to Japan's strong relationship with the U.S. I don't have any concerns about passing CFIUS. Nobody has any concerns about passing CFIUS. A handful of U.S. politicians have already started weighing in on Monday on the deal, slamming a foreign purchaser of the iconic American company and citing concerns about what the deal means for union workers. As well they should. The two companies have agreed U.S. Steel will keep its name and Pittsburgh headquarters. Nippon Steel also said it will honor all agreements U.S. Steel has with the USW, which has repeatedly said it won't support any foreign bidders. Relations between the USW and U.S. Steel remain strained. USW President David McCall said he received a call at 6 a.m. New York time from U.S. Steel CEO Burritt, who left a voicemail. Calling somebody before most civilized people are even thinking about being awake and leaving a voicemail is a really passive-aggressive tactic right there. McCall said it would have been the first time he'd spoken to the executive since becoming the union's top official in September, following the death of former President Tom Conway. This is not how this is going to work, McCall said. We don't know Nippon. The union had a transferable right, which it had said it would pass on to Cliffs to counterbid after an offer for U.S. Steel as part of its collective bargaining agreement. However, Cliffs, in a statement, congratulated U.S. Steel on the deal and wished it well with the transaction. Cliffs will refocus its capital allocation priorities toward more aggressive share buybacks, CEO Lourenco Goncalves said. Citigroup Incorporated is acting as a financial advisor to Nippon Steel, while Barclays plc, Goldman Sachs, and Evercore are advising U.S. Steel.
Where's Blackwater?
Blackwater owns controlling interest in a whole lot of those banks, dude. They don't have to be out in the open. Between Blackwater and Vanguard, they own the world. I mean, just saying. But that is where we are at the moment. CFIUS being our last defense against the rest of the world just buying the U.S. rather than conducting a bloody war. Now, mind you, the goddess is all in favor of bloodless wars. The goddess is just not in favor of being on the losing end of a bloodless war. Okay? That's the distinction here. I'm not at all against bloodless wars. I think all wars should be bloodless. They should all be economic. I'm just not a fan of being on the losing side. That's all. I don't think that's an unreasonable position in the least. Just saying. Okay? Just saying, I don't find that a wrong position in the least. Now, being as this is a gold channel, I shall read you what it says on the front page of Kitco, which started several days ago, by the way. Kitco.com alert. Real-time precious metal quotes and charts are still available here, okay? So we'll look at those in a minute. Other services and online store are temporarily unavailable. The temporarily has now lasted about 3 days. Our website is currently experiencing a disruption due to a cybersecurity incident. Our team is actively working to resolve this issue as quickly as possible. We're committed to ensuring the security and integrity of our services and apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. What this means for you. As a precautionary measure, we have temporarily suspended our website services. Please be assured we take the security of your information and our systems very seriously. Our team is working diligently to address the situation. For urgent inquiries, please contact customer service at cs@kitco.com. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience and appreciate your continued support. We're committed to restoring full functionality as soon as possible. So in English, they got hacks or something else, and with any luck, if you shopped there, your information will be secure. Judging from the sophistication of some of the cyber attacks lately, one has to wonder. Meanwhile, the price of gold, $2,025.90. The price of silver, $23.84. Platinum, $952.87. Palladium, $1,187.79. So that is where we are. And Kitco has been offline, as I said, most of the weekend. I'm assuming that their people are very, very, very upset at the moment because this is not the time of year when you want to be offline, especially if you're selling precious metals and YouTube is full of commercials about precious metals. And Costco, of all people, reported that in the last quarter alone, they moved $100 million with an M in 1 ounce gold bars. The 1 ounce gold bars they're selling are generally available only on their website. There's a couple of Costco's in the country where you'll actually find them on the store floor, but most of them are only on the website. They're pretty damn close to spot. In fact, a couple of times people have been getting them at spot. And last I checked, there was a limit of 2 per customer. And the bars they were selling at the time were the pump squeezed bars. That said, you practically have to sit on the Costco website doing this and refreshing every 30 seconds because when they get there, they're gone really fast. Really, really fast. As in gone in 60 seconds type fast. As in gone like big ass bird fast. It's absolutely ridiculous. Just saying. I think it's great. I love it that Costco's selling precious metals. I wish to heck Costco would start selling precious metals in their stores. I would love to be able to walk into my local Costco and buy a bar right there instead of having to buy it online, have that purchase tracked 17 ways to Sunday, and have to wait for it to be delivered to the store. Okay? But they're not. And in other random news, if you go to Money Metals somewhere on the moneymetals.com web page, somewhere up front, you can enter a drawing to win like 50 ounces of American Silver Eagles by putting in your email address and getting their newsletter. Okay? Just saying. Hi, blonde dude. Hi, Shaggy. Jeff, I don't know if there's actually a better source than Kitco for charting metals. I do know there are others out there, but I never watch them because I'm just so used to going to Kitco. You know? I'm sure if there is one, Chris or somebody can weigh in and give you a website name, but all I ever do is, type in Bing, gold price or silver price, and the first thing that kicks up is Kitco. Everybody else is going off Kitco's feed anyway. I will say this. Most of the major metal buying websites, JM Bullion, AppMex, Money Metals, etc., will have a precious metal ticker right across the top of their webpage that shows you the current price all over the place. Hi, honey bunny. Hi. The Fed delivers champagne to Wall Street. Yes, indeed, it's Christmas on Wall Street, folks, as the long-awaited pivot is here with Jerome Powell announcing the Fed's giving up on inflation and turning to that long-promised recession. The one we've already been in for a while now. Yeah, just saying. The so-called Federal Reserve dot plot, which measures the Fed members' rate projections, went dovish, meaning inflationary, for the first time since the pandemic. Bloomberg was downright giddy, trumpeting the great monetary pivot of 2024 is nigh. Stocks, bonds, and currencies all soared as financial markets filled up the punch bowl and lined up the coke and hookers just when Joe Biden's election campaign needed them the most.
Coke and hookers? It actually said Coke and hookers?
Yes. actually
Sweet.
said, Money Meadows writes good articles. All courtesy of the Federal Reserve that apparently has traded in the Paul Volcker baseball cards for a very clever inflation fighting strategy of let her rip and hope for the best. Indeed, Mike Alfred ventured Janet Yellen and the big guy himself may have intervened with some pointed dialogue with Jerome Powell about their ability to punish the Fed for wrongthink. This is entirely possible. Markets reacted like a San Francisco junkie on a UBI with literally everything going up but the dollar, including gold, which rallied $60 in the space of hours. As Bloomberg approvingly put it, virtually no corner of the financial markets was left out. Equity, yes. It was the biggest one-day rally since 2009. I wonder how it compared to the big rally in 1929, like the one that covered from October 26th to 28th or so, I believe it was. Why did markets go wild? Because despite ongoing inflation, Jerome Powell just signaled the green light for speculative mania. Ooh. Last year was a lean one on the street with Dark Jerome warning that pain is coming as he strangled financial markets to clear room for the federal government to spend everything their dark little hearts crave. Now, Jerome's apparently traded his dark warnings about exuberance with all the begging Wall Street to exuberate away. Is exuberate a word?
I don't know.
The problem is, given inflation's nowhere near licked, this is essentially the Fed giving up. In a recent article, I worried about the Fed repeating the catastrophic 1970s stagflation when it eased into the eye of the storm, setting off another inflationary crisis. In fact, looking at core inflation, it's merrily running at double the Fed's target. And that's using the new formula, by the way. You don't want to know what it says with the old one. Yet here's Jerome desperately flicking matches on the next tissue fire boom. So what's next? The Fed's praying for a soft landing, the Deus Ex, to save the institutional independence. The biggest problem is it ain't going to work. The Federal Reserve has never, in its 110 years of existence, pulled off a soft landing. The media hypes it every time, but it's a myth, a mirage, a fairy tale to help Wall Street traders sleep. In fact, the Federal Reserve has a single recession play: hike till it breaks, then flood money to bail it out. The Fed's just advanced to the next stage, to the 70s. What comes next is mass bankruptcies, layoffs, and daily articles about the famous misery index that we thought were a distant memory. The author, by the way, is Peter St. Onge, and he is an economist at the Heritage Foundation and a fellow at the Mises Institute. So this dude is good. Look him up. Peter St. Onge. He has a website. Okay? But that is where we are today. Now, what did you say? Which Fed three-letter agency was it that just archived a bunch of important shit again?
It was the death statistics.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Once again, three-letter agencies are archiving things. In case you have missed this, if you ever go to Fred, F-R-E-D, Fred is where you see all the interesting things about money, like M2 supplies, M1 supplies, volatility, all this stuff. Or if you ever go to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, or some parts of the Treasury.gov. Anyway, when the Fed starts seeing numbers they really, really don't like, they're institutionally incapable of not recording them, okay? Nobody keeps data like a government agency, not even the goddess. Nobody. They're institutionally incapable of not recording them, but they don't want anybody to see them. So one of their favorite tactics is they declare something outdated, irrelevant, or superseded by a new something, and often it isn't, and then they archive the old thing. Okay? Well, the Fed is still merrily archiving things. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics is archiving things. And apparently the CDC was feeling a little left out. somebody over there got a serious case of FOMO. They decided that they need to get on the archiving bandwagon. They need to hitch their little caboose to the archiving train so that they can scoot off into the sunset and not do their jobs in telling the American people about various diseases and other things, or at least certain aspects of those other things, like excess death statistics. For some reason, excess death statistics, despite the fact that our life expectancy just dropped again by a whole healthy 7 months out of 79 years. We're not even going to get into the amount of paranoia you have to be worried about this, okay? But the reason that that number dropped is because an unexpectedly large number of people keep croaking, and most of them are not old. Most of them are young. Well, the CDC, for some reason, has decided this is a completely and totally irrelevant thing, so that figure is now being archived, but that's okay because we never wanted to know about that figure in the first place. Meanwhile, the pros and cons of buying copper bullion. I don't know if this is happening in your LCS, but I will say this. Our LCS has seen a tremendous uptake over the course of this year in people buying nice looking copper stuff. Much of it actually made locally in the state of Montana. The goddess will be the first to admit. Yep, I did it. I paid the most insane premium of my life a couple of months ago, maybe 3 months ago now, when I bought a nice little copper round that said Happy Laborless Day and showed a dragon, a Game of Thrones style dragon, because the whole thing was done in Game of Thrones style, setting fire to businesses with help wanted signs on them. And on the back, it said, inflation is coming, in Game of Thrones lettering. I paid $3. Yes, indeed, folks. I paid $3 for 1 ounce of very pretty copper. Yeah, do the math. That comes out to $48 a pound at a time when copper was selling for under $4 a pound. Okay? So, yeah, the goddess is not the only person who's paying absolutely obscene premiums to get a hold of copper stuff. The goddess is not the only person who is, coin hunting pre 82 pennies and saving them. Just saying. So, somebody finally decided to take notice of this and wrote an article about it. Copper bullion, pros and cons. Demand for copper has been rising at bullion dealers. The number of products available has also risen dramatically in recent years. Mints and refiners are responding to increased demand with a wide variety of new copper rounds and bars with interesting designs. The number of questions we get from clients has been rising along with the interest. There are a few good reasons to own copper. I want to see if I even agree with him on this one. Along with some good reasons to tread lightly when making an investment in this industrial metal. On the negative side, it's hard to make a significant investment in copper bullion. You got that right. The space required for storage and the weight of the metal make it prohibitive for most people to purchase in bulk. We'll get back to that. $10,000 worth of copper pennies at the current price amounts to more than a ton of metal. Roughly 63 bags of coins weighing 34 pounds apiece. Copper bullion isn't eligible for depository storage, so unless an investor has a forklift and plenty of room, taking a large investment position in physical copper is off the table. Meanwhile, copper bullion products can be expensive relative to the underlying commodity price. The cost of fabricating rounds and bars in 1 ounce or smaller size exceeds the metal's value. In a sense, what the buyer is actually purchasing isn't so much the metal as it is machine time and labor. Retail copper bullion is not as liquid as gold and silver bullion. While demand is growing, many precious metal dealers aren't buying copper. Dealers that do, such as Money Metals, will buy back fabricated rounds, but not copper pennies. Sorting copper pennies from the newer zinc pennies requires large and specialized industrial equipment. That's interesting. The next consideration is either a pro or a con. Copper is an industrial metal rather than a precious. Investors who are bullish on the economy may find copper attractive. Alternatively, investors looking for a hedge against uncertainty and economic turmoil probably don't want to make a bet on industrial demand driving copper prices much higher. While it usually won't make sense to plow a lot of money into copper bullion, there are some reasons to own a little of it. Copper is beautiful to look at, and it can be a great conversation starter. It's inexpensive to hand out to people as a gift. This is true. It's a good way to get people talking about principles such as honest money and liberties. Copper bars and rounds are available in some interesting and patriotic designs to help that along. The goddess's tip here: 40% Kennedy half dollars. I can get them at melt and sometimes lower. And they do make great conversation starters. Okay. Since you can show somebody right online exactly what that particular 40% Kennedy is worth, and they're cheap. Preppers will often add a bit of copper to their barter stash. No, they don't. Okay. It has a unit cost even lower than silver, so it fills a gap. I will tell you the use that preppers have for copper in a minute here. The idea is copper might be used in the smallest transactions, candy bars or sodas. Copper pennies are the most cost effective option, and their melt value is about 3 cents a piece, which is why the goddess keeps them. Yes, it is illegal to melt American coinage. However, they're worth 3 times what the price on it says, you know. Just saying. If the goddess were a prepper, and of course we all know the goddess is definitely not a prepper. Oh no. I would never consider being a prepper because they're like really, they're people that are on a lot of government lists. If the goddess were a prepper, yeah, she'd be prepping copper, copper tubing, copper pipe. The kind of copper that you can use to make plumbing repairs that actually last. The kind of copper you can use to build things like condensing equipment to distill water. Absolutely. I mean, nobody would want to distill anything else because that would probably be illegal. But you can distill water. Totally, completely. The goddess would also be stacking a lot of copper wire in different sizes, different gauges, with different types of insulation, so that if you just had to kind of cobble together a little something out of spare parts that were laying around that was going to be electrified, you'd actually have some copper wire to do so with. That is how preppers stack copper, or so I've been told. I mean, I'm just a tinfoil hatter. I know nothing about actual prepping or anything like that. Just saying. Meanwhile, in other very odd news, Pope Francis, who has got to be the most interesting pope to watch in a whole long time here, has done upset the serious Catholics again. You know, the goddess actually feels sorry for serious Catholics at this point. It has long been my position that if a person is going to subscribe to a particular religion, and that particular religion has a book attached to it, and that book has the rules, the blueprint, whereby one can attain the goals of said religion, it's generally a good idea not to be a hypocrite and to actually follow the rules in the book. Okay? Just saying. Well, Pope Francis has done pissed everybody off again. The goddess has to wonder about the quality of Jesuits these days, because for a Jesuit, Francis is being really, really ridiculous. Okay? Pope Francis approves blessings for same sex couples. Any win for progressive Catholics. Now, he is very, very careful to say that this blessing that a couple shall receive is going to be on a case by case basis. You have to impress your priest that you actually want this blessing. And this blessing cannot in any way, shape, or form be even remotely connected or concurrent with or happen at the same time as any sort of civil ceremony that might possibly mimic a marriage. Okay? Yeah. But yeah, the traditional Catholics are a little upset, and quite frankly, I can't blame them for this one.
because it is a little bizarre, And people are bearing in mind exactly what happened when the Episcopalians decided to get a little bit liberal with their interpretations of their religion. Long about 40, 50 years ago now. And look where the Episcopalians are these days. Getting to the point where the only religion that, one of the only religions where people actually still mostly follow the rules, because if you don't, you're going to end up being honor killed, is Islam. Which makes the current trend that is appearing on social media of LGBTIQA plus people and trans people and leftist people living in polycules, which is apparently the word for large group sex things, all discussing how they found religion and the religion involved is Islam. Just a little bit funny. Because I really don't think they have taken a close look at the Quran that they purport to have studied extensively. Just saying. And if you want a little piece of light humor, and I'm reading directly the title attached to the video on Zero Hedge right now. Watch the Brandon Entity, new nickname for Lord Malarkey, reminisces over taking care of a little girl's ears on an airplane. Yes, indeed, Lord Malarkey got very, very odd on video again. What else is new? And inflation has forced the head of the Turkish central bank to move back in with her parents. Well, that's a little bit bizarre. And probably...
The head of the central bank?
Yeah, the head of the Turkish central bank. There's two things about that story that are very funny. One, that the head of the Turkish central bank is actually a female. And two, the head of the central bank moving back in with her parents. She's complaining that it looks like Istanbul has actually gotten more expensive than Manhattan. Well, when your currency is utterly and completely devalued, but your wages don't go up along with it, then yeah, Istanbul is going to get more expensive than Manhattan. Just saying. She might consider the idea of sound money, but I doubt that will happen. Just saying, But that is where we are today in most things. At the moment, Christmas is beginning to look a little more like Christmas in the local Walmart. Not terribly so, but at least we're finally looking a little more like Christmas with a week to go. So that is good there. We shall see if that trend continues. It should be noted that, amongst other things, that the price is going to be going through the roof on and availability is going to be very tough on in the coming new year. Ammunition, orange juice, cocoa, and coffee are your top four of your top 10 hottest commodities going into the new year. So if you happen to like your coffee, your orange juice, your chocolate, or your ammo, this is probably a good time to be trying to find some. Just saying. And apparently, Tucker Carlson, who's already made a lot of people very upset more than once, is apparently going to be doing an interview on Timcast. So if y'all don't watch Tim Pool yet, keep an eye out for Tim Pool, because he's got all kinds of interesting things going on of late. He's becoming a name. And a U.S. nuclear sub arrived in South Korea. But don't worry, it was only the third time this year. It's not like nuclear subs are that important anyway. But that is where we are. And now that we have been on this live stream for probably about an hour and a half since there, let's see where the number is. Bear, can you grab a pen, please?
2 hours and 13 minutes.
Well, I mean, since I put the last number on there. You can cross out that 347, dude. And you can put in 438 since the live stream started.
Just saying. And gold and silver are still on sale, so why the hell aren't you backing up the truck? If you have not yet decided to gift all your loved ones precious metals for Christmas, this is a great time to decide to gift all your loved ones gold and silver for Christmas. Go down to your local coin shop with your fancy colored toilet paper from whatever country you're in, if you have a local coin shop, and buy the good stuff while it's on sale. Because if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Bye bye. Yeah, that number's pretty damn bad.
Anyhow, apparently it went up $163 million during the live stream. Hi, Patrick. Why is that, blind dude? Everyone's saying bye, Eva.
Bye.
Well, don't British pounds weigh the same thing? Anyhow. Oh. Well, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's wrong. He's a commentator. He's putting together his own thing. He started out years ago as a reporter for Vice News, and has basically built up his own little media empire, so to speak, or whatever. And so, yes, he's always talking Civil War, absolutely.
Yep.
But do you think we do not have significant civil disagreements? Did you see the Summer of Love?
We're already in a civil war. As a matter of fact, we're already in World War III, but that's another story entirely.
One thing about Tim Pool, he has actually been to places that were in the midst of civil wars. So anyhow, well, you're pretty strong, honey bunny. Oh, so anyhow, we'll probably be going down to Dave's mine and this weekend here, so we'll get some other stuff for videos and stuff, and not much else in the mining stuff. We'll be doing a little bit of construction, a little help for work over there at Lauren's this winter. We're going to get some fishing in now, finally. I'm planning on heading out on Wednesday to do some fishing. So I might have a little video there. We'll see what happens. And that's about it for the mining stuff. Of course, the world continues to be a little bit unpredictable, which I would think should be doing great for the precious metals. But it's one of those things that it's interesting to see that the prices are not fluctuating according to the same rules they used to. It makes you wonder what's going on. So that's the situation there. I still have absolutely no confidence we're going to get to the next election smoothly. Or shall I say through the next election smoothly? I have no idea what's going to happen. But I like the idea of prepping, So anyone else got any subjects to talk about or whatever? I'm still doing pretty good for my my age. I'm pretty happy. A lot of the people on this forum have not aged as well as I have, and I attribute that to luck and genetics. Definitely not to anything special that I've done. Although I did marry this woman here, and that's probably been a good thing.
I would dispute that.
What?
All your life you've worked hard manual labor jobs. All your life you drank soda instead of booze, water, and other really sugary things. And you avoided cigarette smoking.
What do you mean? I didn't drink soda. I drank water.
Yeah, I'm saying you drank water instead of other things that are not as good for you.
That's not what I heard. Okay.
And you did not smoke cigarettes. You have always worked hard manual labor jobs.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have worked fairly physically. Yeah. I'm glad you didn't have the Vax resort, dog. That's another thing that I'm looking at. That's where the report that Eva was listening to today, they had, I think it was 30 to 40-year-old, 35 to 45, something like that age group in the United States. There's a 34% increase in the death rate. You know, it's like, well, that doesn't look good. I hadn't noticed anything. Where do you get crucibles and cupels?
Legend.
Let's see. It may still be in the thing.
It should still
There you
be
go.
in the chat.
Right there. That's the company. That particular link is roasting dishes and stuff. But yeah, it's called Legend, and they have pretty good prices. Shipping can be a little bit pricey, but then they're shipping fragile stuff. They also have things like litharge.
They have the lead foil too, don't they?
Yeah, they got the lead foil, things like that. All the stuff you need for assaying. They've got everything you need. And for the other assay chemicals, we go to Chemical Montana here in town and buy it by the 50-pound sack. You know, the anhydrous soda ash and the anhydrous borax, things like that. And we get a reasonable price there for those. So that's what we do. It should be on, Jeff. When this first goes offline, you know, when we first close it down, it takes a while to apparently get all this stuff archived properly so that the chat replay works. But whenever I set one up, I do the chat replay on. So check it out. What happens after this one? I think there was one where I might have just missed it, but I don't know. I haven't seen Jim the last couple of weeks. I tried calling him last week and his phone didn't answer. So I'm really not sure what he's doing. And so I don't have any information. I would love to have Jim on the show again. I think he was a real benefit. But he's been doing stuff. So, you know, what can I do? As far as I know, he's just fine, honey bunny. It's just he's been busy doing things. He did get sick a couple of weeks ago and was feeling pretty poorly, but he got over that and was feeling pretty good again. So, you know, there's stuff that goes around, but I say, as far as I know, it's essentially always just he's been been busy, and that's all. So, okay. As far as I know, it should be working, Jeff. Yeah, I've got to get my vehicles repaired, repair and maintenance this winter.
That was very good chicken, Bear.
You like that?
Yeah.
See, I do think of you.
Chicken fried rice.
Chicken fried cauli rice. Yep.
Yeah, minus the eggs.
Yep. I didn't have the eggs. I'm going to be using some of that tomorrow morning for my breakfast. But those 2 pieces of chicken that were left over, I just cut them up and whatever it took to do that. So I've got enough for breakfast tomorrow and probably breakfast the next day too. Well, I've got
I may be having a second bowl of that, dude.
Go ahead. I have the radiator's got a leak near the top in the van, and I think it needs new struts. The truck, I need to redo the rear suspension and rebush the front suspension. So we shall have to see how all that works. And carburetor, need to rebuild the carburetor too. So those are the sort of things that I'm looking on there. And we'll get started on that after New Year's, basically. So that's what we're doing there. Not much in the laboratory work this year. As far as I know, we got most of it figured out. And we got, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 cartridges that we could strip, but that's about it. So we're not doing anything on that right now. All I've really got to do is just winterize some engines before the winter really sets in. I mean, I got 2 generators and 2 crushers that I got to drain the oil, top off the gas, make sure it's got gas treatment in it, and clean the air cleaners. That's it. So pretty much done there, and I get to do some fishing. Any ideas on the general cost of 40-foot shipping containers? I actually priced those recently here in Helena, and they were about, I believe it was $4,500. Yeah. Dee Dee's got the same thing. I was pretty sure it's about $4,500 here in Helena also. So it's probably a similar thing. What it's going to be, that's going to be a good question. It has to do a lot with what's going back and forth across the Pacific. And that's kind of up in the air. Timing belt, brakes, and shifter cable. Well, timing belt is work. Yep. Shaggy says in Oklahoma about 5,000 for big containers. Yeah. So it looks like it's fairly consistent price all around. Interesting. They're really useful, although if I had my druthers and make it, I'd rather have 220s than 140. Just a lot easier to move around and stuff.
220s is also more versatile.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like if you position them about 10 feet apart, you can roof over the area between them and build a nice little shop.
Depends on how big of support you want. You can do a lot wider than that.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying. That was a number I pulled off the top of my head. It's not like you necessarily need a shop that's bigger than 10 foot by 40.
Yeah. That's another question I'm wondering is if you were to put containers on top of each other, which they're designed to stack. I mean, for goodness sakes, how hard it would be to get up and make steps and all that other stuff and get stuff up in there or not.
People turn them into two-story houses all the time.
It's a good question.
There's a bunch of plans online for doing that.
The other thing you could do theoretically is take two containers, sink them in the ground, and have a gap between them that's space, and access those through the front, and then put two more containers on the front, and then fill in the sides with dirt so that you've got a side access to the other two. So it would seem pretty reasonable. And if you had a limitation on your horizontal area, it would seem pretty efficient. And
there's all kinds of plans and videos online for dozens of different designs.
Okay, apparently there's lots of designs on the internet.
On YouTube, like tiny container homes and two-story container homes and
Yeah, you'd have to do it on a slope, Dee Dee. Correct. Yeah, it's got to be a pretty decent alloy, because of the strength it has to do it. It's probably not mild steel per se. I was watching a video one time on YouTube where they were actually putting them together, and like those long welds along the bottom, some Chinese guy is sitting in a seat that's on a little, it's like a sled, and it just moves down there, and he's welding that, just moving as he goes along. Man, that was incredibly skillful. It was amazing to think of how good that guy was. It was amazing. And I mean, this guy was moving. He was throwing down some metal fast. He was moving at a walking pace in that chair. He wasn't walking. He was just sitting in a chair, but it was moving like at a walking pace. Man, that was amazing. It would toast the best of self-tappers we could buy. Wow. Yep. Now, were they just self-tappers or self-drillers? Were they using actual machine threads or just like a sheet metal screw with a drill point on it? Oh. I'm going to have to take a short break. Hold on to that thought while I hold on to something else. Huh. Sheet metal screw with drill point. Yeah. Roasted your drill bits. Can you, did you just resharpen them? If you didn't smoke them, then you should be able to resharpen them pretty easy. Carbide bits, yeah, that makes sense. Although trying to find carbide bits with a proper rake angle for steel is a little hard in some places. You can find the carbide masonry bits. Who is going fishing? I'm going fishing Wednesday. I'm going to take lures and night crawler. I'm going to go down below Holter Dam and just catch whatever. It's a real easy access, and it's a little longer drive, but real easy. I can just park the car there. Eva can stay there and do some crocheting, and I can go fishing pretty easy. And exactly, Dee Dee. So that's all I was going to do. Now, as say in February, when we're going after the what do you call them? Burbot. I hear sucker meat is really great for that. So, as I say, well, I'm just going out to have some fun. According to Lauren down there below Holter Dam, if we wanted to, if I wanted to go for walleye, the best thing to do is walk across the dam and come down the other side. But that would be a lot further from Eva. It would be quite a walk. So I'm just going to do something easy just to have some fun. And
Now, hold up.
what?
Did you just say Holter and walleye?
Yes, I did.
And why are you using me as an excuse for not getting a fish I want to eat?
Because it's a long walk.
Okay, then.
You remember on the far side where
Yeah.
that spillway is coming down?
So your
Over
excuse,
in there.
So your excuse is you don't want to make a long ass walk. That's all.
Pretty much. Yep.
Okay. No, don't drag me in on that. I love walleye.
Oh yeah, they're very, very tasty. But okay, Jimmy, I'll keep that in mind. If I catch them, I'll definitely keep them now, because I knew when I went out fishing with my family last year, I was aware of the fact that sucker meat was really good for bait. Before that, I didn't know, so I just threw them back. But yeah, it'd be nice to go out there and try Lauren's methodologies for ling, for burbot later on. I'd love to do that. Right now, the ice is too thin. I got to go someplace with some current, some clear water, and something with a decent, fairly easy bank to deal with, where not going to worry too much about patches of ice or anything. It should be nice. I say it's a pretty easy access there. And
I can crochet.
yeah, later on this winter, I may go a little more. Right now, the days are real short too. I mean, if we take off at noon, we're going to be done fishing in less than 5 hours from when we left. It's going to be pretty dark by 5 o'clock. So that's another issue. I mean, in summertime when it doesn't get dark till 9, yeah, not nearly as bad if you're going to do a long walk or this, that, or the other. But it's kind of an exploration trip, and just kind of see how things go, check out the gear, make sure everything's working, et cetera, and then I think I'll try to do like maybe one day of fishing per week this winter. By the way, how's things going with you, Jimmy? You got all that stuff that needed to be done, and you're on schedule with your other stuff, doing about right there? Oh, that was a fun trip. Eva and I enjoyed that trip up there. Really appreciate it. Had a good time. I really enjoyed the hunting. It's been a long time since I've been hunting, and good. Glad things are under control there. So we had a really good trip. It was more fun than I anticipated. I figured we'd have a good time just doing some painting and stuff, but we actually really had a good trip. That was cool. We had fun, and I didn't know Eva liked to paint.
I love painting.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good rule, Shaggy. And I say, I'm just going to try some various things out there. Primarily, I'll probably be getting rainbow trout in the 1 to 3 pound range. You know, nothing extraordinary for here, but in a good current, it's a fun fight on 6 pound line, 6 to 8 pound line. Yeah, it's again nothing really intense, just something relaxing is what I'm looking for. So we will see what we shall see, and kind of go from there. Um, Thursday afternoon, I got something to do. Friday afternoon, yeah, I got to get ready for the trip on Saturday. So it'll be next week before I get another day off. Eva, remember that Grandma Moses painted most of her paintings before dying at 104 years old. Black Panther Martin with yellow spots and a brass blade. Okay. Black Panther Martin with yellow spots and a brass blade. Yellow spots, brass blade.
By the way, the kind of painting we're talking about is furniture painting, wall painting, and house painting.
Yeah, we're just
not
house
art
painting, but yeah.
painting.
That I'd like to see if I can get one of those and give it a shot, just for funsies. I think I'm a little bit low on tackle. I'm going to have to look in my tackle box and get it all figured out and stuff. Not much, but
for the time being,
we're-
you're gonna have to go old school and use worms because we be broke.
yeah. The place where I go tends to eat a lot of tackle. It's got a rocky bottom there and a good current.
I still want to get some really heavy line and put a really strong magnet on it
To do what?
to fish up tackle.
It's going to be awful. You're not going to get that good a grip on a hook to fish up tackle that's
I wasn't
hung
going to
up.
use a hook. I was going to grab a piece of clothesline, actual rope, and put a large magnet on
Okay,
it.
what is the magnet going to grab? It's a brass lure, a lead weight. The only thing that's steel is the damn hook. You know? And then they say the whole thing on the bottom, almost nothing's magnetic.
Well, I want to do magnet fishing anyway. People find all kinds of other cool stuff.
Well, you have to find someplace where you can get over the water to magnet fish. You know, you don't magnet fish from the side of a channel with a lot of rocks. You'll lose your magnet the first day, guaranteed. Done. It's going to get caught in a crack between the rocks. I don't know, blind dude, what? So, I say, magnet fishing, you'll notice they're always
on a bridge.
on a bridge.
I'm sure we can find a bridge.
Where?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in charge.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
The causeway, at the end of the causeway.
Decaffeinated coffee. Not bad. I like that one Eva found the other day that was pretty funny. That bit of, shows a donkey with a fishing pole and says, give a Democrat a fish and you'll feed him for a day. Teach a Democrat how to fish and he'll steal your pole, steal your wallet, sexually assault the fish, and blame Donald Trump. I thought that was pretty funny. And I kind of like this card here. So anyhow, so that's kind of my plan for this week. And next week, we'll see again. Hopefully Lauren's surgery goes well. And then he'll be able to supervise while I do some of the work that he needs to get done before firing up next spring. I know he's got some pins and things to work on a skid steer and other stuff. So I don't know, but he's got to be very, very careful with that shoulder. It's basically going to be immobilized for 2 months, which is going to suck. Showing a magnet sticking to chicken at Walmart. Well, if they were frozen chicken, you could just put a little water on the magnet and stick it there and it would stick. So anyhow, that's my evil plan. Anyone else got any questions or subjects? Anything? Oh, I understand, Dee Dee. It's one thing with a car or plumbing where you get into it, it's fucked up, I just do some more. But man, when it's my body and they get in there and go, oopsie, yeah, no funny. Yeah, that would suck. I agree, Dee Dee. Lauren really doesn't have a choice, and it's just going to be extremely frustrating. He's a go-getter. He doesn't like sitting around either. I would say he's even more of a go-getter than I am. But yeah, that'll give me something to do and things to learn. Okay, Shaggy, take care. Anyone else got anything? I have no clue, Dee Dee. The government does not have to make any sense at all, unfortunately. Yeah, it is, Resort Dog. It would be, especially as his right arm. If it was left arm, it wouldn't be as bad. But that, he's right-handed too. If my right arm was messed up where I had it and all I had to do everything with the left arm, oh man, that would suck.
That's where I'd be going out and winning the lottery so I could stick you in an assisted care home for 2 months. Because otherwise you'd drive me crazy and I'd have to kill you.
That is absolutely true, blind dude. Anyhow, I don't see any new subjects or anything, so I guess we might as well just call it a night. Been fun? So, and by the way, when he was talking about U.S. Steel and the more efficient techniques of making steel out of scrap steel, of course it's easier to make steel out of scrap steel than it is out of iron ore. Duh! You don't have to remove the oxygen. The blast furnaces make new steel out of minerals. Electric arc furnaces make new steel out of old steel. Big difference. Okay, you guys take care. Have a wonderful week. Keep it safe. And happy prospecting and keep it safe out there. Good night, all.
Monday the 18th. Oh my God.
What?
Next Monday we can't have a live stream. It's Christmas.
It's Christmas, huh?
Yeah.
We can have a live stream.
Monday the 25th.